The gates are open, the matches are getting underway, and you can see lots of people are enjoying the porch area. The
feeling was incredible. That's amazing, especially we had such a great fight today on court, both of us.
A rising star from the Philippines was about to face an Olympic gold medalist, but the world was making a surprising prediction. They were choosing Alex Eala. On one side was Alexandra Eala, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation who had just created history at Wimbledon 2026. On the other side was Qinwen Zheng, Olympic champion, Australian Open finalist and former world number 4. On paper, this matchup looked impossible to predict. There were 94 ranking positions separating them. But tennis is not played on paper. The real question was simple. Had Alex Eala already become the player that even champions had to fear? Because just weeks earlier, Eala produced the biggest performance of her career. At Wimbledon 2026, she stepped onto center court and shocked the tennis world. Facing defending champion Iga Swiatek, Eala delivered a fearless performance and created one of the greatest moments in Philippine tennis history. It was more than just a victory. It was a statement. Alex Eala had arrived. Suddenly, the tennis world was no longer talking about her as only a future star. They were talking about her as a current threat. But Qinwen Zheng represented a completely different story. The Chinese superstar had already reached the highest level of tennis. She won Olympic gold at Paris 2024. She reached the Australian Open final. She climbed all the way to world number 4. When healthy, Zheng is one of the most dangerous players on the WTA tour. Her powerful serve, explosive ground strokes, and aggressive style have troubled some of the best players in the world. But injuries changed her journey. After elbow surgery in 2025, Zheng had to rebuild everything from the beginning. She missed important tournaments and returned with one mission: find her championship level again. Her comeback showed flashes of the old Qinwen Zheng. At Doha, she defeated former Grand Slam champion Sofia Kenin with a powerful performance, reminding fans that the Olympic champion was still capable of producing elite tennis. But the biggest question remained. Could she maintain that level against a player full of confidence? And this is exactly why the prediction markets became so interesting. The market was not forgetting Zheng's achievements. It was not ignoring her Olympic gold medal. It was not disrespecting her past success. Instead, it was looking at one thing. Who is playing better right now? And recently, Alex Eala had all the momentum. Her 2026 season had already included a breakthrough Wimbledon run, a career-high ranking, a WTA grass title in Birmingham, more than 30 victories, and over $1.2 million in prize money. She was no longer just a talented young player with potential. She was becoming a serious competitor against the biggest names in tennis. But there was one major challenge. Qinwen Zheng had something Alex Eala did not have: experience at the highest level. She knew what it felt like to win Olympic gold. She knew what it felt like to compete in a Grand Slam final. She knew how to handle the pressure of playing on the biggest stages. And there was another important fact. Zheng had already defeated Eala before. Their previous meeting came at the 2023 Asian Games. Zheng won that battle in 3 sets. But both players have changed dramatically since then. Eala was still developing her game. Zheng was entering her prime. Now they were meeting again at completely different points of their careers. The question was no longer about the past. It was about the present. Could the rising Filipina star continue her incredible momentum? Or would the Olympic champion remind everyone why she became one of the best players in the world? And the answer was about to come on the biggest stage. The biggest confirmation of Alex Eala's rise came from someone who had actually stood across the net from her. Jasmine Paolini. The Italian star, Grand Slam finalist, and one of the most respected players on the WTA Tour faced Eala at Wimbledon 2026. Before their match, Paolini gave a statement that caught the attention of tennis fans around the world. She described Alex Eala as a very dangerous player. Those words carried weight. Because they did not come from a fan. They did not come from social media. They came from a world-class competitor who had studied Eala's game, prepared for her, and experienced her level firsthand. Paulini saw something special, and the tennis world started seeing it too. The story of Alex Eala is now much bigger than one match or one tournament. It represents the rise of Philippine tennis on the global stage. For years, Filipino fans dreamed of seeing one of their own compete against the biggest names in the sport. Now that dream had become reality. A Filipino player was stepping onto center court at Wimbledon. A Filipino player was defeating established champions. A Filipino player was earning respect from the best athletes in the world. Alex Eala was no longer just carrying her own hopes. She was carrying the hopes of millions of fans who had waited years for this moment. But even after all the success, the challenge against Qinwen Zheng was never going to be easy. Eala entered the DC Open after the biggest run of her career. She had reached the Wimbledon second week. She had defeated one of the biggest names in tennis. She had gained worldwide attention. But tennis moves quickly. The grass season was over. The surface had changed. The conditions were different. And after 3 weeks away from competitive matches, there were still questions. Could she maintain the same level? Could she handle the pressure that came with being the favorite? Meanwhile, Qinwen Zheng was also searching for answers. She had the talent. She had the experience. She had already proven herself at the highest level. But after injury, she was still trying to find the consistency that made her an Olympic champion. That was the fascinating part of this matchup. Both players were fighting different battles. Alex Eala was trying to prove that her breakthrough was real. Qinwen Zheng was trying to prove that champions always find their way back. So what was the prediction market really saying? It was not saying Qinwen Zheng was finished. It was not saying Alex Eala was unbeatable. It was saying something much more specific. At this exact moment, based on recent form, ranking, confidence, and momentum, Alex Eala had become the player with the stronger position. And that alone showed how far she had come. Because just a few years earlier, the idea of a Filipino player being favored against an Olympic gold medalist would have sounded impossible. Now it was reality. The tennis world had changed. And Alex Eala had changed with it. She had entered a new level of competition. A level where champions respected her. A level where opponents prepared differently before facing her. A level where every match created global attention. Whether she won or lost against Qinwen Zheng, one thing was already clear. Alex Eala had earned her place among the names people were watching. She was no longer chasing history. She was creating it. For Philippine tennis, this was a new era. For Alex Eala, this was only the beginning. The prediction markets made their choice. The fans made their choice. But tennis always gives the final answer on the court. One match. One moment. One opportunity.